The 49ers just got a massive boost, and I'm excited to tell you about in this video about this perfect setup that's setting up for the 49ers in this upcoming season. Plus, later in the video, feel free to skip ahead, of course. I have updates from All Gas No Breaks himself, defensive coordinator Robert Saleh on his first trip to the podium back as 49ers defensive coordinator, as well as a couple of comments from newly appointed special teams coordinator Brant Boyer. So lots to come later in the video, so make sure you stick around. Skip ahead if you've already heard some of the stuff I'm about to share. And please consider hitting subscribe. I so much appreciate all of you for being a part of the community, for the comments, for the likes, all of that. It's super fun to be a part of the community. It's super fun to see your comments, most of them, and read them and interact with them. But let's get into the first story coming from PFF. So the story from PFF, of course, they pick their breakout candidate of the year for the San Francisco 49ers every year. This is a guy who's usually someone who's good, that they're expecting to be great this year. They're going to step up in a big way. And for PFF, this guy is Renardo Green. And this is a smart move. This is a move that makes perfect sense. And if you were having to pick a breakout candidate, this is a guy that makes perfect sense. Like, it's just a perfect fit for a breakout candidate kind of a role because of how good he did when needed. Like, it would have been like 2 years ago if the PFF had picked Jair Brown to be the breakout candidate. Like, it would have made sense because they're filling in for a role. They do better than expected in that role, and then you think they're going to take a step up. Renardo Green, it makes perfect sense. I'll read what PFF said, but I have more to say about that after this as well, why I think that this is a great pick for breakout candidate of the year. But Green took on a larger role in the latter half of the rookie season, filling in for Charvarius Ward most often, which he'll now have to do on a permanent basis. Green earned a 74.3 coverage grade and posted a 15.7% forced incompletion rate, both of which were top 20 marks at the position. That's for the entirety of the NFL. We're not talking about rookies here, okay? We're talking about the entirety of the NFL. With no significant competition brought in for this offseason to help alleviate the Ward loss on the outside, there is at least some perceived confidence that the 2024 second rounder can continue his strong play on a full-time basis, which I would agree with 100%. Absolutely. There is a lot of perceived confidence that he's going to be able to step in and take on that role as the number 2 cornerback. Now, if you add to that, though, how important it's going to be that you got Robert Saleh coming in. So you have a clear and defined system, a guy who's done it, who's gotten better, who's evolved. We'll talk more about that later in the video. But also on top of that, you have a new defensive line with a different focus than the last defensive line. This particular defensive line, the focus is what? It's containment, it's discipline, it's run stuffing, right? It's doing the foundational things. It's the simple stuff. And that has knock-on effects for everybody. I remember listening to a podcast one time about Ray Lewis, talking about how Ray Lewis kind of always seems to have really successful seasons when the defensive line was really successful. And it's not to say Ray Lewis wasn't a great player. It's just to say that his life was made easier when there was a good defensive line. When the defensive line does what they're supposed to do, the running lanes are clearer. Everything's clear. Everything's simpler for everybody else around them. And I think you're going to have advantages on this defensive line in terms of containment, in terms of discipline, in terms of run stuffing. And that's going to benefit the linebackers, and that's going to have knock-on effects all the way back into the secondary. Speaking of linebackers, you also don't have Devondre Campbell. He's not going to be around this year, and he struggled in coverage. That was his weak area. So, that's an extra advantage, assuming that D. Winters, assuming that Nick Martin, assuming that some of these other guys can step in there, right? Curtis Robinson, like there's some other dudes that can step in. So I'm really high on D. Winters this year, taking that one next step up. A lot of people are really high on Nick Martin coming in and being an impact player this season. And that's great to hear as well. So there's a good shot that we get better play out of the linebackers, that we have better leadership from the top down, that Fred Warner's not having to cover and help so much. That's only going to help tighten up those passing lanes for cornerbacks to have to cover, right? It's only going to have knock-on effects for the simplicity of what they're going to have to do in their part of the job, including safeties, of course, as well. So I have all of the belief in the world that Renardo Green is not a one-and-doner, that Renardo Green is going to step up even further this upcoming season. I'm hyped about it. Another guy that PFF identified, this was covered by David Bonilla, 49ers Web Zone. Another guy that was also pointed out okay, outside of the breakout candidate thing, was Dominic Puni. On the offensive side of the ball, Dominic Puni also earns high praise from PFF contributor Dalton Wasserman, recently identified young players who would soon become NFL's best at their respective positions, or could, I should say. Puni made the shortlist after an impressive rookie season at right guard. Puni was a revelation for the 49ers last season, finishing with his 6th best overall grade among qualified guards at 80.5. A major factor in that success was his effectiveness and Kyle Shanahan's outside zone scheme. His 82.1 outside zone run blocking grade ranked 5th among all guards. Puni, a third-round pick out of Kansas, was thrust into the starting lineup early due to injuries and never looked back. He played every offensive snap, 1,078 total across all 17 games, doing things that rookies are not supposed to do, guys. Like, rookies are not supposed to play this many snaps in their first season. And his PFF offensive grade led all rookie offensive linemen. He was also the highest graded run blocker among first-year linemen. With another year of development in Shanahan's system, both as a run blocker and pass protector, Puni could soon challenge for the top spot at the position. Atlanta's Chris Lindstrom has held that title for the past 3 seasons as the NFL's highest graded guard. It won't be easy to unseat him, but if any young player is positioned to do it, it might be Dominic Puni. My goodness. I mean, come on, talk about high praise for the young guy, and he absolutely earned it. Absolutely earned it, showing up every single week and absolutely showing out. Let's talk about Robert Saleh. Let's talk about Robert Saleh because he took to the podium for the first time this season, okay, officially, and he had a lot of interesting things to say. I'll throw a few quotes out here. I also listened to it and have some thoughts about kind of how he came across and some of the extra little details he threw in there, but Matt Lively was live tweeting, and so I was starting there, and then once the audio recording or video recording came out, I was able to listen to it. Robert Saleh meets with the 49ers for the first time since he was named defensive coordinator. He says his scheme has evolved. It says involved. I think it was auto-corrected there. There's stuff from the Jets in there, and they've added new concepts this offseason. Okay, so just take note of that. It's evolving, okay? Defensive coordinator Robert Saleh says he's excited to get the rookies on the field this weekend, adds a lot of them have a good shot for a lot of playing time this season, as they should, considering the holes that they intentionally drafted to fill. The board fell our way from a defensive standpoint, talking about the draft and talking about how there were moments where there were offensive guys that the 49ers thought they were going to be going for next that were ahead of the defensive guys on their list. We don't know exactly which ones. He didn't say. That then, to use, what's that guy's name? Brian Peacock from Locked On 49ers, to use his phrase, like, they got sniped out before the 49ers could draft them. And so things just fell defensively for the 49ers, basically Robert Saleh admitting that there were moments that the 49ers would have gone offensive. We've heard other reports similar to that, so that's not a total surprise, but it is interesting. Come out and compete. No expectations right now. Talking to the rookies, like right now, it's show up, be involved. Talked a lot about how much work they were going to have to do, with OTAs, with mandatory minicamp, rookie minicamp, preseason. I'm getting things out of order here, of course, but training camp, all of that leading up to the season, figuring out the scheme, understanding everything, the way 49ers do things, all of that stuff. So there's a lot there. Basically just keeping it simple for this week, which rookie minicamp starts tomorrow. Keeping it simple for the guys. Just saying, listen, just come out. Just compete. Just be there. So that's a good sign. Robert Saleh also said he had no interest in being defensive coordinator for another team, saying, I have a tremendous amount of respect for this organization. They gave me so much and during the first 2 years. If you think about those first 2 years as the coordinator in 17 and 18, it wasn't easy, and it could have been very easy for them to move on from me. I'm indebted to this organization, to those men, for the rest of my life. They stuck with me, and we made it happen. We did what we needed to do, and the rest is history. And I'm excited about the opportunity to get a chance to do it again with them. So, just a nice little positive thing to throw on the edge there, okay? Some other takeaways that I had, just the ability for him to step back from a lot of the administrative responsibility of the head coach was something I identified early on as a huge advantage of bringing Robert Saleh in, because he's only going to be better from his experiences that he's learned, and now really appreciating the things he doesn't have to do and really having the time to focus on the things that he really wants to focus on. So that's exciting to me. Also talked about always staying up on trends from offenses and trying to stay, 2 years ahead of that is his deal. And so that's where we're going to see that gives us some insight into the types of changes we're going to be seeing based on what offenses are doing. I talked about the injection of youth being really exciting, and just how this organization, the 49ers front office, is unlike most organizations in how they collaborate and how they communicate, specifically regarding the draft. How he talked about how it's been 3 to 4 weeks just focused on film with the scouting department ahead of the draft, making sure they had everything figured out all the way down to the last pick of the draft. So that's exciting, of course, stuff to hear. One other guy that happened to go up to the podium and said some interesting things was Brant Boyer. This guy right here, special teams coordinator Brant Boyer, an underrated important pickup this offseason. I don't feel enough people are talking about it. And had we been secure in our defensive coordinator position, we probably would have heard a lot more about Brant Boyer this offseason, because the 49ers desperately needed some veteran talent in the coaching position. And we needed somebody who would come in and would simplify things, not in terms of like scheme, but simplify the problem that needs to be solved, which in my opinion was be consistent, be about your business, and be effective. I don't care if the special teams doesn't do a bunch of really fun fake stuff, okay? I don't want to see that. Maybe in a couple years, I'll want to see that. After what we saw last season, like, just do the bare minimum. Just do your job. Be like a top 15 ranked special teams, and I'll be satisfied with that. Don't make big mistakes. That's what I want to see. Don't make big mistakes. Now, of course, there's a lot of question marks for special teams around kicker Jake Moody. There's a lot of question marks that need to be answered still, okay? So I'm not like letting it off the hook and just saying, as long as you do something boring, we're happy. But I just genuinely, having so many games in a row, watching the special teams blow things up every single game, I would just really like to see the special teams be consistent. Just be consistent at the simple things. Keep it simple, and we'll worry about the extra stuff later. But new 49ers special teams coach Brant Boyer, talking Matt Barrows, says Matt Barrows spoke for the first time today. He said signing long snapper John Weeks at age 39 was very much about bringing in an experienced, steady hand and making things easier for Jake Moody. I found that a very interesting perspective there. He also talked about the mindset that he was bringing in, and if you haven't caught the video of it, it is kind of interesting. Just said it's either you or me, and it's going to be you, period. So setting a hard line, a hard tone in terms of what the expectations are going to be for this special teams. And we know the 49ers did bring in a lot of guys in free agency prior to the draft that were specifically talented veteran special teams guys. So it is interesting, too, to see, there are always going to be some fringe positions that the difference between the guy that makes the team and doesn't make the team has to do with their ability to play special teams. That happens every year. We don't think about it or talk about it all the time because a lot of times we're really focusing on the other aspect of the jobs that they do for the team. But there is most definitely going to be an expectation that the players are going to show up and treat special teams like it's their main job. And I love that attitude. I love that mentality. Let's get that back. Let's get that kind of attitude in the system or in the organization around the special teams, because I would like to see these guys play special teams like it was their first job. Anything else? I think that was the big picture. Tomorrow, rookie minicamp happens. There'll be lots of photos and things coming out around that. So make sure that you are coming back for that one and you're subscribed so you don't miss out on all of it. Appreciate you guys. If you watched to the end of this video, you should comment below that you're awesome or something, because you are awesome for watching to the end of the video. Congratulations. And also, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts about Robert Saleh taking to the podium again, about Brant Boyer taking to the podium. What did you guys think about it? How do you guys feel about where things are going? I'm feeling super optimistic about where things are going. And guess what? In addition to all that, tomorrow's the weekend. Let's go.